All right, so you're in a plane crash.
Okay.
Okay. In the middle of an ocean, there's an island that you can swim to. You only have time to grab 5 things from this magical plane that's shipping everything in the world. What are you bringing and how are you surviving?
Oh my gosh. I'm going to grab a hatchet or like some kind of axe, a really good knife. I can picture it in my head. I don't know what it's called. Something to carry water.
Yeah.
Lighter.
Sure.
Of some kind. And an MRE.
All right.
What are you gathering?
Number 1, scuba suit. I'm just going to swim out of there, baby. 2, a Monster energy drink for when I get tired from all the swimming. 3, shark repellent. The bat shark spray from Batman.
Okay. How
many more items do I get?
2 more.
2 more? Xbox 360 and Halo 2 for when I get bored.
Where's your electric source?
I'll be swimming. I'll be powering it with my swim.
I've never seen a greater illustration of the differences between our personalities.
Yes.
Also, I realize now that you said a plane that had anything on board.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And neither one of us thought to, a satellite phone.
I said scuba suit so I can swim away.
But, I could have said satellite phone. I could have said life raft.
Meh. Who needs it?
I don't think either one of us are surviving.
Yeah. Hello, and thank you for joining us on our journey of 1,000 pages. I'm your host, Anty, with my co-host, Christina.
Hello! This month, we chose the genre of survival fiction, which is not something we've read a lot of. So, just a few hallmarks of the genre. You typically have characters who are fighting the odds to survive in the face of a hostile environment, either in isolation or in some sort of group that they have a lot of conflict with. These characters are usually relying on resourcefulness, their outdoor skills, and pure grit to survive. And there's a lot of themes of, obviously, man versus nature, the elements, scarcity of food, all of that, and man versus themselves. It tests their psychological limits. The origin of this genre goes way, way, way back, because obviously you've got themes of survival going back to the Odyssey and stuff like that. But it really came to be what we know it with Daniel Defoe's Robinson Crusoe in 1719, and real maritime logs and castaway journals from the 18th century. That kind of set the blueprint for what we know, where, you inventory your supplies and you build a shelter and so on and so forth. Then there was an apocalyptic shift to the genre.
Interesting.
In 1826. Your favorite, Mary Shelley.
Yeah, The Last Man.
Yep, she wrote The Last Man, which featured characters surviving the collapse of civilization during a global pandemic that happened in 2073.
Oh my god. I love her.
But yeah, the genre really gained popularity post-World War II with books like Lord of the Flies, and it continues today. Obviously. Yeah. A few popular examples include things like Hatchet, which I think every child was forced to read.
I wasn't. Haha, get wrecked.
Okay. The Hunger Games, Andy Weir's The Martian, Dan Martell's The Life of Pi, and other things like that. Which brings us to the book we read this month, which is called Stranded by Sarah Goodwin.
Stranded is the story of 8 strangers who have all signed up to be a part of a reality TV show to simulate the apocalypse, where they are stranded on an island with nothing to survive but their wits and the occasional reality TV show type prizes. Unfortunately, what happens to them is after the year well, hold on. Think of the order here. Because the back of the book, this bothers me. My first issue with this book. Okay. Get ready for an episode, y'all. Before, yeah. So the back of the book, it emphasizes this whole thing where they're supposed to be on the island for a year, and the tension and the drama is supposed to come when they realize that they are not getting rescued from this island. It's a survival novel. Like, obviously, they're not going to, you know that's going to happen.
Things will not go as planned.
Yes.
It's called Stranded.
But that doesn't happen until the end of the dang book.
What?
Them realizing that they're stranded.
It really is the last.
So we see all of this interpersonal drama throughout this book from all of these characters.
Yeah.
Motivated by nothing. They know they're gonna get rescued, and they're these characters, y'all.
Do you want to run through who our cast of characters is before you crap all over the book more?
I'm not crapping all over the book. There's parts of the book that were good. I just don't know what those parts were.
Okay.
So,
our characters.
Yep.
Our main character is
Maddie. She is your standard, awkward, anxiety-ridden millennial who, your standard shy, awkward, is signing up for this reality show because she has nothing better to do with her life and nobody loves her.
And her parents recently died in a car crash, and so she's and they were like her only friends in the world. So she's escaping her life.
Along with Maddie, there are 3 other women who are Zoe, Maxine, and Jillian, who are Gen Z, old person, and slut, respectively. And those are their personalities.
And then you've got 3 guys.
4 guys.
4 guys.
Yeah, there's 4 of each.
Oh, yeah! Okay, cool.
Duncan, your standard sports bro. Andrew, generic man. Sean, generic man number 2. And Frank, old man. Are we being reductive with these characters? No.
That really is. That's kind of it.
It's a frustrating part of this book. Because I understand, you could make the argument that, yes, they're one-note archetypes because they all think they're on reality TV and that's what's going to air well. Yes, that is an aspect of the drama, and I understand that. But even beyond that, they're barely humans in this book.
I think early on, probably 8 chapters in, I remember telling you that I don't like or dislike any of the characters because they'd have to be characters for me to do that. I kept getting them all mixed up on, who is who, because a lot of them don't seem to have, especially in the first few chapters, they just don't have any real definition. Especially the guys. The guys.
The guys all feel like well, I mean, all of the characters, really. All of the characters in juxtaposition to Maddie, who...
Yes.
I think one of the things I brought up to you, slide aside, do you think anxiety is becoming shorthand for relatable main character?
I think that's very plausible.
Kind of not in all times, because I think there's obviously anxiety is a very real thing that people have. Yes. So there's a reason we make characters with anxiety. And I'm saying this right after reading a book about characters with anxiety that we loved.
Yes.
With Black Box of Doom. But it's definitely starting to become that kind of mental trigger in my head of they're just doing this to signal that this is relatable main character. It's
like the early 2000s young adult protagonist that is clumsy and trips over her own feet, but is proficient in every form of combat. Yes. It's that trope.
100%. I also
from that era.
Recognize I am saying this as somebody without anxiety, so I don't know.
No, I think that's very plausible.
All of that mostly to say that a lot of these, aside from Maddie, all of the other characters feel like you said, they're not characters, but I think they are just stand-ins for basic ideas that the author found on the internet and wanted to disagree with in a public forum. Even Duncan, the main male character, he is the archetype of a toxic male sports bro. And it is
that is true.
And I get these are people, absolutely. I'm not saying the author hasn't dealt with these ideas and these people, but the character themselves then doesn't feel like a character who has an idea. They all feel like strawmen. She is just propping these cardboard cutouts up so she can knock them down.
The only one who, and I don't know if it's not just because we're in Maddie's head from her perspective.
Sure.
That she's the only one who has any depth. I kept trying to give more credit to the author and go, okay, is she is she trying to make a point about her main character that Maddie is like flattening everybody out into just a very simple stereotype?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the point she's trying to make? I don't think so, because the characters just have nothing to them.
They really don't, and it sucks, because you want this to be like, what happened if these larger-than-life reality stars, like the people who are drawn to reality shows, actually end up stranded?
Yeah.
Let's watch that and their interpersonal lives, like, or relationships fall apart because of that. But with all the interpersonal drama in this, from the very beginning, it just feels like there's a conflict in the group. They're deciding whatever to, what to focus their work on. So somebody says something, all Maddie does is bring up a different idea of how to do things, and everybody just flips out on her constantly.
Yeah, it's weird because as much as this book feels like watching a reality TV show, when you watch a reality TV show that things were not as crazy as they were in the show. Going back to the characters themselves, that for the sake of brevity and entertainment, everything that happened is edited down to shove complex human beings into little characters of like, oh, they're this one. Oh, they're this one. And anything that doesn't support that narrative gets edited out so that you have drama that people want to watch. But to read a book where characters, yes, they are filming for reality TV, but it's like they're editing themselves in real life.
Yes.
Instead of just being fully formed, well-rounded human beings.
Right.
That you can see like, oh, I can see how this person will be edited to be this way and whatever. Yeah, they just started out performing in that way. And so it didn't ring true as a reader.
No, I 100% agree with that. It's very disappointing because it's, from my perspective, it does seem like the author is using anxiety. Well, yes, I did bring up the point about it being shorthand for a main character. Yeah. I think like this is accurate with the thought processes of Maddie.
I found a lot of Maddie's inner world to be relatable, for better or worse.
That's part of why we read.
I know.
I
know. No, it's okay because you related to what's his name in the Black Box of Doom.
Shut up. All right.
So we are allowed to see parts we don't like about ourselves reflected in the books we read.
Oh my God. As if that's part of what art is about, to make you self-reflect and observe yourself and humanity. That's crazy.
Okay, hush.
That's not, the sarcasm wasn't at you. The sarcasm was to some of the listeners out there who do not understand that.
That's fair. No, I related, obviously, to Maddie in the sense of, yes, anxiety-ridden millennial that, feels awkward and, like, doesn't fit in a lot of social circumstances. Maddie grew up very, very sheltered and feeling very isolated and, like, different than a lot of her peers.
Yeah.
And there was a couple like quotes that stood out to me. Like, for instance, early on, she talks about how during her childhood, the catchphrase that everybody used to describe her was, "You're such a good girl," which is simultaneously praise and an admonishment.
100%.
A little bit later in the book, there's a specific passage that is her thought process that I thought really illustrated the anxiety and like the overthinking. Because basically, we get a little bit in here, and they've planted a garden, but nobody's really taking care of it. And so she kind of spends a little bit of her time going, oh, hey, I'll pull like a few weeds, but it's not like my job. My job is these things over here. Like they've divided up tasks and everything. And people who are in charge of the garden are not gardening. And then Maddie gets blamed for this, that the garden is failing. And her reaction is initially she feels, it's so unfair that I'm being blamed for not doing something that wasn't my job in the first place. But then she's wandering around and she's going, the worst part is that the further I went, the longer I thought, and I started to agree with her. The allotment, the garden, might not have been my job, but I had been kind of working on it. I should have worked harder. If I'd left off foraging for a while, yeah, we could have gone without, but we'd also have a better harvest now. I could have done more. I knew that. I should have done more. And just her alternating between guilt on, oh, well, maybe I should have, like, well, technically it was somebody else's job and they should have asked for help if they weren't going to do it. But me taking initiative and just spiraling into making it like, making her feel, oh, it is my responsibility. I noticed that it wasn't being taken care of. And so I should have asked for help when I stood up and took initiative. And I'm like, oh, girl, you are tying yourself in knots and making so many excuses for other people not doing what they agreed to do. How did you get to the point that it's now your fault? But you're also, there's the underlying anger that builds through the whole book.
100%.
And both of those I related very, very hard to.
For sure. I forgot about that line specifically, but as soon as you mentioned the allotment, like, yeah, that's one of the ones that I'm like, oh, I've seen you do this exact thing.
Yes.
Which absolutely happens. I feel like all of us have done that at some point. Maybe not all of us.
I think if
I'm kind of an asshole.
I think if you are a person who tends to be responsible and notice things that need to be done, I mean, the way I often have described it to myself is it's like some people walk around and they notice problems and they go, oh, hey, somebody needs to fix that. And then they look around and they go, oh, I'm somebody. I guess I'll do that. And then there's people who walk around and they go, oh, hey, somebody needs to do something about that. And then they just keep walking. Yeah.
That's me. That was me. Yeah, I absolutely leave all you guys.
And unfortunately, the people who go, hey, I'm somebody, I'll just do that, end up often with too much on their plates.
Correct.
But simultaneously not knowing how to not take responsibility because they go, well, I'm capable. And so they just keep adding stuff on. And then buried under all of it is just this like underlying anger at, why does it always have to be me?
Which would have been an interesting buildup of tension in this book if, again, it wasn't just immediate hatred of Maddie for everything she does.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things that both of us were like, what is happening? It is day one. And everybody has just decided out of nowhere that anytime Maddie has an idea, we hate it and we hate her.
Which, like... That's not an uncommon thing to happen in, like, small tribal groups.
Yes.
Like, whenever humans start doing that, they pick one person out of the group and they on that person, like, constantly. We've all seen it. We've all been a part of it, let's be honest. But, like, that takes time for that to happen. I don't understand.
It does seem like it would have been a more understandable progression. Because you think, okay, brand new people... They're excited to be on this show. They're probably going to spend the first week or two putting their best foot forward and trying to like really work together and be very collaborative and inclusive and paint themselves in a good light. And it felt like that lasted for maybe a couple days.
Right.
And then suddenly Maddie's ideas are horrible.
Even then, I feel like it was from day one that they were just like...
They just decided that she's a bitch.
Yeah.
And all she did was very respectfully voice alternative ideas or point out, hey, if everybody works on the cabin and nobody forages for food, that might be problematic going forward.
Like, does this make sense why I think this feels just like a cardboard cutout of the patriarchy that she's just going, stop it, to? Like, I get that's a thing that happens, especially in the business world where women, you know, everyone I've talked to has had an experience like that where men just completely ignore their ideas and they decide they're a bitch because they said something different.
Yes.
I understand that. This book does not do that well, though.
I see what you're saying in that that's kind of the background struggle that's never named.
Yeah, sure.
It's definitely there. The three main characters that identity is man.
Yes. Right.
Generic man. Yeah, because the three of them for the most part, seem to be very, almost the fastest to just dismiss everything that she says.
Right. That's frustrating. The constant deus ex machina in this book is frustrating. There is so much. They're on a reality show. They're told at the beginning, but when they get shipped to this island, that there will be caches of supplies and stuff. They always manage to find a cache just when they're running out of food.
The number of times that something happens at the last minute and then solves it all. Like, spoiler for just 1 second, there is a point much later in the book where Maddie is trapped in a cave and can't escape for a little bit. And she's like, oh, it's fine. I've got food. I've got stuff to burn. So I won't freeze to death. Oh, but I'm going to run out of water. And then it starts raining and it happens to drip into the cave.
Yes.
And she's able to survive because of that. Which
would have been fine if not every other problem they've had on this island has been solved by something dropping out of the sky or them just happening to find something. Like, to the point that near the end of the book, which Maddie gets rescued because there's the whole part of the beginning of the book where she's like, somebody help me, I've come off an island. Ooh. Like, so, there's also constant asides into chapters which are like her in present day in an interview about what happened to her with like the news or something. Near the end of the book, there's a point where she's walking and she's assuming that everybody else is gone and she finds a boat on the island, like on the shore. And I'm pretty sure both of us had the reaction of, really, a boat just shows up and she's going to sail away? Because it would make perfect sense with everything else that has happened in this book, that it happened to wash up and she's like, ooh, yay, boat, bye.
My first thought was just, really? That's how we're solving it?
Yeah.
And then she sees footprints and, stuff goes from there. But
the fact that the book had set a precedent up to that point that both of us thought, oh god, she's just going to leave, isn't she?
It's not great.
It's as if it's trying to do both man versus nature and man versus man, but it does neither of them well. And it ends up half-assing both of them. Because, like, there's parts of it that I think are decent. Like, we start at the beginning where Maddie said, foreshadows that she's into botany. So she becomes the forager of the group. Mm-hmm. And it's like mushrooms, because just like in everything in the modern day, it has to be mushrooms. So she finds the mushrooms, and the mushrooms drive people crazy. The mushrooms are the bad guys in this. They're the bad guys again. Why is it always mushrooms? What does this mean for culture that everything is about mushrooms?
What did we miss?
What happened?
Or what is going on that mushrooms keep showing up in...
You can see themes in books and in fiction specifically that are relevant to whatever was in the cultural zeitgeist at the moment, whether it's the fears of the culture or the things that people are hoping for, which is one of the reasons I love literature. Why is it mushrooms right now? Why is it mushrooms? If somebody can give me an answer to this, please let me know. Yes. I want to, what does this mean culturally? Why?
Also, are there more books that are featuring mushrooms?
Every book. It's not just books. It's video games. It's movies. It's TV shows.
Maybe we just think they're neat.
I think that's part of it. We're at a stage where we know enough about mushrooms to know that we don't know jack about mushrooms, which is fascinating. They might be sentient. I don't actually know that. That one I just kind of threw out there, but it sounds like a mushroom fact you would hear.
That is true.
Did you know that actually every mushroom is an individual sentient creature with thoughts and feelings?
I mean, hey, we know trees talk to each other and warn each other when they're being cut down or attacked.
Know. So it's insane.
It's not that far of a leap to think that mushrooms are communicating.
It's insane. Plants are weird, man. Yeah. Mushrooms play a big part. I did research fly agaric specifically. Yes. I did look up if that was accurate. Could fly agaric do all the things it said in there? And it can.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So it gets you real high? Makes you...
It can. It can also kill you.
I assumed.
That's the most unrealistic thing in there, that none of them killed themselves with the mushrooms.
I'm honestly, yes, that was another thing that surprised me. Because she ate an awful lot of mushrooms. Mm-hmm. They all ate an awful lot of mushrooms. Mm-hmm. A variety of mushrooms. And I mean, there are a few times that she points out, like, oh, hey, this one's bad. Throw that over there. Don't eat that one. Whatever. Oh, it looks really similar to this one that we totally can eat. See, that's reason number one. I would die on an island. I would refuse to eat any of the mushrooms because I'd be afraid that I'd pick the wrong ones. I mean, that
is a thing you were taught in wilderness survival. If you do not know whether it is safe to eat or not, don't eat it. Don't.
You're either 100% certain or you're not eating it.
Yes, correct.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm also kind of surprised that there was no cannibalism in the book. I really expected that by the end of the book.
I also kind of thought that we were going to get there. If that concerns you, you don't have to be worried. There's no cannibalism.
There is an island witch. Speaking of things that annoyed me, I'm not going to rant about the island witch. You can read it and figure out why I'm pissed off about the island witch nonsense.
It's fine. I think a lot of our complaints come down to the fact that this book feels like it was written for a Netflix deal.
Yes, 100%.
I know we both noted that the pacing is irregular. And the thing that bothered me personally so much was in the first half or so of the book, she's trying to build tension. And rather than letting the events that are transpiring build tension for the reader, you have a bunch of chapters that end with something like, if I had only known how bad it got.
Yes.
And I'm just like, okay.
And there was a point where I think after you mentioned that to me, I counted and I got to like 3 or 4 times in a row that chapters ended that way.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oof.
Yeah, that to me signals either you don't trust that your reader understands what's happening and is following and is still interested. So you're trying to do the most obvious hook in the world to keep them reading. Or you don't know how to build tension. And so you're just doing the obvious, like, oh, it's going to get real bad, guys. It's going to get so bad. You have no idea. You just have to keep reading. Speaking
of it sounding like a Netflix thing, there's a point where they find, spoilers, it's fine. You're not going to read this book. You're an intelligent person. That's why you're listening to this podcast. Where they find the camera crew dead. This is after they've established mushrooms are a big thing in here. So your first thought is, as the audience is, I wonder which one of these people poisoned the cameraman. Then, like, 50 pages before the ending, there's like, finally the main character is like, wait a second, this means that someone on the island murdered them? Who could it be? And I'm just sitting there like, yes, you're asking the right question that you know, it's fine if you want to tell your audience the question they're supposed to be asking, but we were all already asking that question like 150 pages ago.
It is true.
Frustrating.
Yes.
Don't talk to your audience like they're f***ing idiots. I'm not saying you have to have like pretentious language and stuff like that. You do not have to have a $5 word every sentence. That is okay. People understand how a story structure works. They understand like context and they let your audience make connections. That is good writing.
I think that this book was written like a lot of popular movies.
Yeah.
Especially the ones that are, not all, but a lot of the ones that are for streaming services, where part of their instructions are to put a lot of these questions and exposition and everything very explicitly, because they know people are watching it while they're scrolling on their phone.
Can't stand doing
that. And this book reads like the same thing. Like somebody, like it's written for somebody who's scrolling on their phone while they're reading it.
Yeah.
So we're going to make sure that, we say it again. Hey.
Right.
Hey, we said it again. It's really obvious and in your face. You can't escape.
Oh, it's horrible. That's my final thoughts. It's bad. This is a bad book.
I'm not going to lie. I did enjoy it.
I do recognize not to just default to this, because I do default to this a lot. Survival is not really my genre. I've never been a huge fan of like Robinson Crusoe, Castaway, Survivor. I've never been a super big fan of. It's fine. Man vs. Nature is a fine story to me, but it's not my favorite.
That's fair. I do enjoy survival stuff more when it pits people against people.
Sure.
You know, something like the Hunger Games.
Do you have other examples of like good survival fiction?
Oh,
I can only think of Robinson Crusoe that was read to me by my father when I was like 4, and I remember almost nothing except there's a guy named Friday. And also it's way longer than you think it is.
I've read a lot of the popular ones, I'm realizing, like The Hunger Games and Life of Pi and Hatchet. I didn't super care for Hatchet, but I did like the other two. A few years ago, I read one that I really enjoyed by Charles Martin called The Mountain Between Us. There's been a movie since, but I've not seen that. Basically, about two strangers that charter a plane. So it's just like a couple people on this plane. And they go down in the mountains during a blizzard. And it's, middle of nowhere. And it's them. And one of them, I think she's injured, like breaks her leg or something. And so it's them trying to survive winter, isolated in a mountain. And how do you get back to civilization? And so I really enjoyed that, but it also dives a lot deeper into the characters and their relationship and what they're thinking. And it's also kind of like a love story. So
ew, gross.
Okay.
Get your romance out of my novels. I don't need it.
So it's totally different because they're not, pitted against each other. They're working collaboratively. But that's a good example of me enjoying survival fiction. If
anybody knows any good survival fiction, please let me know. That's not Robinson Crusoe or Swiss Family Robinson. I hate Swiss Family Robinson. That's another one. If everything just works out all the time, shut up. Give me some conflict. Give me some actual problems.
Swiss Family Robinson, I remember reading as a kid and I really liked it, but it is the case of a family with encyclopedic knowledge for everything you could possibly need to know how to do or build.
100%.
And I did have questions about that. Like, how do you just know how to do all of these things that are very, in some cases, very intense, complex skills? So yeah, final thoughts. Again, I had fun. When I think about this book, it ruins it for me. But if you're able to just sit back and go, hey, I'm just here for like a fluffy adventure story. Fluffy is the wrong word, but don't think about it too much or you will have the same problems that we had.
For sure.
But if you just want to sit back, enjoy the ride, 3 stars.
I refuse to give it stars because I don't think I'm qualified to give an honest critique. I just have opinions.
Yeah, in my opinion, is 3 stars.
That's fair.
Anyway, you should read this book if you are trying to get back into reading and you need just a kind of chill audiobook for the gym. This would be perfect for that.
You should read this book if your daily Instagram screen time is over 4 hours. Then you're one of the girlies this book is for.
Is it Instagram in general, or does it need to be book talk?
I think this applies to all the Instagram girlies.
Okay.
Because at least book talk, like, they do things sometimes. Like, there's smut, which is nice. But like, okay, no, there's fantasy on book talk. I'm not on TikTok. I don't know. Shut up.
Okay. You should read this book if reality TV is your guilty pleasure of choice. This is kind of perfect. It reads exactly like a reality TV show.
You shouldn't read this book if you want a book that feels like it was written on purpose.
You shouldn't read this book if you don't want the author to hold your hand every step of the way.
And you should not read this book if you've ever been camping.
Great.
Shinies! Where are the shinies for me? Oh, I need them. Give them to me, all your little shinies.
Cool. So a completely unrelated book that I read this last month is this beautiful new coffee table size book from American Girl, the company that makes the dolls. And it's called The Making of American Girl. It goes over the history and origin of the company and the founder. Pleasant Rowland is her name. She founded it in the 1980s, and then it has like full stories, multiple pages with all the pictures and fabric swatches and just how did they create the stories of the 6 original characters. Mm-hmm. And all the work that went into those dolls and their stories. And I absolutely loved it because obviously I loved American Girl as a child. I read all of those books when I was like 9 and 10 years old because that's the age that the characters was 9, and then they have their 10th birthday in one of the books. But I was really impressed by Pleasant Rowland's dedication to historical accuracy because she faced a lot of pressure in the 1980s and early 90s that, you know, like, these books are just for kids. Like, they don't need to be that serious.
Right.
Like, it's just for little kids. Just throw something together. You don't have to worry about how accurate it is. And she absolutely refused that. She wanted each character to be to embody virtues that girls could look up to and see themselves in. And she hired teams of experts to put together every single story and all the clothing. Like, her designers were not allowed to just, let's just make a dress for this character. It'd be like, no, you have to show me actual fashion plates from that era of this outfit or this color scheme or whatever. And she would have panels of top experts in the field, museum directors and historians and all kinds of people assembled to talk about and work on just developing a world for one character. And just that dedication and attention to detail for kids really hit home, and I thought it was really amazing and special to read about. And so, yeah, highly recommend if you liked American Girl as a kid.
My shiny is not going to be as beautiful as that. I'm bringing another video game because that's what I do. Me and a friend finished our campaign of Baldur's Gate 3, so that was very nice and very fun to do this week. It's just an extremely well-written game, extremely well-designed game. The amount of choice and freedom you have as a character and the amount of dialogue they wrote for that, for every branching path. It was really fun. I was playing a Dark Urge character, which is kind of this fantasy son of Satan type that is destined to destroy the world. And you can play it where, like, you follow your Dark Urge.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is the guy I was playing with, at every point, despite the fact that I, as the player, wanted to follow the Dark Urge, he stopped me from doing that. Which then made us follow this path of the story where you are denying the Dark Urge through every step you go up there, and you're trying to be more than, you know, your heritage.
Yeah.
It was just a really interesting plot line where us as players synced up with our characters in the game with, like, the motivations, and reaching the conclusion of that storyline was very satisfying. And yeah, it's a great game. You should play it. It deserved every award it ever got and needs more.
I have heard nothing but good things about it.
Because it's an incredible game, yeah. The only bad thing I can say is the minimap sucks. Anyways, what are we reading next month?
Next month is September, which is also known as Banned Books Month. So, we are going to be reading Ursula K. Le Guin's The Left Hand of Darkness. So, The Left Hand of Darkness is about a human ambassador sent to an icebound planet where all of the inhabitants' gender is fluid. And he is facilitating their inclusion in this intergalactic commonwealth, but he has to overcome a lot of his own ideas and prejudices in order to facilitate that. I feel like the reason this book has been banned is pretty obvious, but we'll get into it next month.
Yay! Bye-bye!
Farewell!